The voice of student athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Once again, good morning, everyone. This is Andrew Roberts with the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and thank you to everyone for taking some time on this Monday to jump on our weekly football teleconference, recapping scores from Week 11 action in Southwestern Athletic Conference play. Alabama State defeated Texas Southern by a score of 27-21. Grambling State defeated Alcorn State in overtime by a score of 19-16. Alabama A&M defeated Jackson State by a score of 48-43. Prairie View A&M over Arkansas Pine Bluff by a score of 37-20. And Southern defeated Virginia Lynchburg at home by a score of 58-7. With that in mind, we will keep our normal order of callers that we have in weeks prior, and we will first off be joined by Coach Maynor with Alabama A&M. Alabama A&M Bulldogs got a big win there against Jackson State this past weekend, and with that, we'll catch up with Coach Maynor with Alabama A&M. Do we have Coach Maynor with us?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Hey, Coach, thank you so much, and good morning, and thank you for joining the call. Coach, if you would, please open us up with a statement about your big win against Jackson State.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was a big win. It's a good win, one that we had to have. And, the guys played well. You got to take your hats off to Jackson State. They got a good program, got a good team. Coach, you got those guys playing hard. They got that program turned around and headed in the right direction, man. We knew it was going to be a battle. I told the guys before at the beginning of the week it's probably going to come down to the last play of the game, and that's what it did. We was going back and forth for 13-14 at halftime, and then it was kind of a game of spurts in the second half where they would go up, then we'd come back and take the lead, and then they'd go up, and then we came back and took the lead, and then they took a 9-point lead with like 5 minutes left in the game, and we was able to go down and get a quick score. And then we got to stop with our defense, use our timeouts, and we got the ball back with opportunity to go down and score, and we did it. And at the end of the day, we made one more play than they did, and it was another SWAC, typical SWAC game, man. The parity in this league is unreal. The 6-7 team and the first, second team, really no difference. Probably 3 7-point difference, and the best team in the league and the seventh best team in the league is unreal how competitive this league is. And we was fortunate and happy to get out there with a W and look forward to this week.
Coach Maynor, Donald Ware with Box to Row. How you doing?
Doing good, Donald. How you doing?
Doing great. So for you, I know in the beginning you mentioned, in the beginning of the season, that is, you mentioned it being sort of an up and down deal, win one, lose one, and it was like that. You mentioned consistency. So do you feel like your team is on the consistent path?
We're trying to get there, Donald. We're trying to put 4 quarters together, man. 4 quarters of good, solid football, offense, defense, special teams. I still don't think we've done it. But, our team just has so much resilience, and they won't give up. They won't quit. We're going to keep fighting. We get down, we'll come back and score. We get down, we'll come back and score. And just keep giving ourselves chances and opportunities. And as long as you got a chance, you got an opportunity, man. You got a chance to win the football game. And right now, that's where we are.
How does it feel to still be in that? I mean, you were, last year was a different, situation, your first year. But not only that, you weren't eligible to be part of the SWAC championship. So now, this year, you're very much in the hunt. What does that feel like for your team?
It's great, Donald. This is what we work for. This is why everybody practice and everybody prepare, work hard in the off season, in the summer, and fall camp to, the last 2 games of the season still have a chance to win your side and represent your side in the SWAC championship and potentially move on to the Celebration Bowl. So this is what we work for, man. This is what we coach. This is what I come to work for every day. And it's exciting. It's exciting right now to still have opportunity.
And Aquil Glass, just continues. We sort of talk about him, seem to talk about him every week. And as you mentioned, put up some great numbers last year, even better this year, and better. He's progressed every year. So can you speak about him, and then even more specifically, how he's able to connect, with his receivers and the rapport that they have?
Yeah, we got a great receiving core. not taking away anything from anybody, but I think we got the best receiving core in the conference. Now, we got a whole bunch of good ones. No doubt about it. But, I'm pretty sure their coaches think they got the best receiving core. But, we got, I think, one guy got 900 yards, another guy got 800 yards, Aquil got 3,000 yards passing. So we think we got a pretty good duo going with those guys. But, that's the thing. You got to have more than one guy, and we got guys, even now, we got some other guys, like, the guy that won the game for us was Ryan Stoves. They caught the winning touchdown. And we didn't go to Abdul, and we didn't go to Xavier Moore in that situation. We called the play for Ryan Stoves, who only played 6 plays in the football game. And so that's the confidence that we have in our receivers, 1 through 8, that all those guys can make plays. It just so happened that Xavier Moore and Abdul is making more plays than the rest of the guys, but we got 6 capable wide receivers that can make plays at any time. So he's doing a great job of just what we do is we're gonna take what the defense gives us, and that's what Aquil is doing. He's not forcing the ball. He's not being greedy. He's reading the coverages, and we're playing the offense and defense weaknesses. So we're gonna go at the weak DBs and take what they give us, and that's what he's doing a great job of.
I appreciate it, Coach. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Coach Ken Rashad, HBCU Sports. How are you, sir?
Great, sir. How you doing?
Great. Coach, after the loss to Southern last week, you didn't mince words in indicating that given where your team was standings-wise, that you needed some help. Talk about what your reaction was on Saturday after your team's win over Jackson State and then learning that Alcorn State lost to Grambling. Talk about the magnitude of that moment and your reaction as well as your team's reaction.
Oh, we was overjoyed, man. We was excited. It gave us the opportunity to get back in the driver's seat. We control our own destiny again, just like they do. At the end of the day, I said at the beginning of the season, we have to beat Alcorn. Alcorn represented our conference last year in the Celebration Bowl, and, they was 1 play away from winning the Celebration Bowl last year. They've been in it 2 out of the 4 years. They won outside the last 4 or 5 years. So they're the team to beat. There's no doubt about it. Coach McNair is doing an excellent job down there, and, you got to beat them. They're not going to beat themselves. He got a great program, and we know we got to beat Alcorn. Even if Alcorn would have lost to Grambling, we would still have to beat them this week and still need some help the last week. So regardless, we still got to beat Alcorn. Alcorn still have to beat us if they want to go. So it's just part of it. And, Grambling got a good football program, and they got a good team, and they had to go on the road there. And like I just said before, the 7th place team in this conference can beat the 1st place team. It's that close. The teams are so evenly matched. It's unbelievable. So we knew that Grambling had an opportunity to beat Alcorn. We knew Alcorn could be beat. There's no dominant team in this league to where they're just going to beat everybody by 21 points, Now, are they dominating as far as what they've been doing the last 4 or 5 seasons? Yes, they are. But as far as beating everybody by 28 points, 21 points, no, that hasn't been happening. Everybody's had a chance. All the games are close, and you got to be ready to play every week. If you're not, you're going to get beat. You're going to get upset.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Connell, Luke Williams from the Black College Sports Page. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good, Luke. How you doing?
Not bad. I just got a question for clarification from my point of view, or from my perspective. Who will host the championship game?
The team with the best record. The 2 championships, whoever play, the 2 teams, whoever has the best record are going to play at home.
Best record meaning overall record, conference record, head-to-head? How do they make the determination?
I'm not sure. I think it's overall record, Luke. I'm not sure 100%. They probably can get the question answered for you. The league can, but I'm not sure. I think it's overall record, Luke. I'm not sure. I think only head-to-head will probably come into play if you got the same record. So if you got the same record, I think head-to-head will come into play then. But I think it's overall record.
Okay, maybe the host can clarify that when that. But I've heard several things about it. I'm just trying to make sure to figure out who will host. But anyway, good luck on Saturday. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, Coach, it's Ty Miller. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Ty. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. All season we've had coaches tell us, and it's kind of like par for the course, that they're not really concerned about the standings and things of that nature. So far as the players are concerned, and you talked about the fact earlier about that you want to represent the conference in the Celebration Bowl. How bad do your players want it, and how much of a conversation has that been after this win this past weekend?
Ty, I don't know about other coaches, but I don't shoot the pool. I talk straight, okay? Yeah, we practice and play to get to the championship and to win the championship and to get to the Celebration Bowl. That's what we talk about. We talked about it all year. We talked about it after this game, and we're going to continue to talk about it because that's how it goes. So these coaches that say they don't talk about that, that's them, okay? I don't understand that. That's part of it. You got to get a mindset. You got to have your players have a mindset of what they plan for and they goals, and they can get to that point. So me and my coach and the way I coach, I talk about championships, okay? Those are the goals. That's what we practice for, okay? So, yeah, we watch the standings. But at the end of the day, you got to go 1 week at a time and go 1-0 to keep yourself in position. So it's a catch-22 situation. But you got to take it one game at a time. But you got to also understand what we're trying to get to, what we're trying to get our program to, and what we're trying to do. And so, yes, we're trying to get to the SWAC championship, and we're going to try to win it. We're going to try to get to the Celebration Bowl. We're going to try to win that too. That's what our goals are, and that's what we're going to try to do.
What sticks out most to you about the game against Alcorn State last year, and what are your biggest concerns going into this matchup?
Oh, everything, man. They're a complete team. Special teams, they got a good kicker. They got a decent punter. Defense, they got a number one defense in the league. Offensively, you know they can do offense. They got two all-conference quarterbacks. They got receivers. They got running backs. They got everything, Ty. So you got to worry about everything when you play Alcorn. You got to play on your best when you play Alcorn if you want to go to Alcorn and get a W at Alcorn. You got to be in your best defensive game. You got to be on your best offensive game. You got to be on your best special teams game. They're not going to beat themselves. You got to beat them, and that's tough to do. So that's what worries me about Alcorn, everything. They got a great program. Fred is doing an excellent job down there. Ben doing an excellent job. He's going to continue to do an excellent job. And he's not going to beat himself. You got to go down there and you got to beat him. And, so we grateful for the opportunity, man. And we look forward to this challenge. It's a great challenge for us. Last year's game, it was 10-10 game at halftime, and they came out and beat us up pretty good in the second half and beat us by 9 points. So we scored a late touchdown to make that game a little closer than it really was, So they beat us up pretty good last year. So we got another opportunity this year, and we'll get ready this week and go down, and we'll be ready for the challenge, man.
Hey, last question, Coach. I'm sure you're concerned about your team having to come back in the fourth quarter. What can you do to kind of like alleviate some of the slow starts or put it so you won't have to come back later in the game like you have had to in 5 games?
We just got to do a better job of starting, Ty. You said it. You hit it right on the head, man. We got to do a better job of starting and executing in the first half and the first quarter. And, we seem to execute a little bit better once we get going and being able to make adjustments and things of that nature because, people watch tape and they got good game plans and they got good players too. And, they try to take stuff away and make adjustments, and then you got to make more adjustments. So, it's a game of adjustments and in-game adjustments. And, when you got to do something different, they stop at what you're doing. So we normally can do a pretty good job of that. We got to see if we can continue to do that, but we need to try to get off to a faster start. You're exactly right, Ty. When I play golf, I tell people 2 things don't last. Dogs chasing cars and pros playing for pars. You're going to start missing sooner or later, so you can't keep trying to come back. You're going to fall short sooner or later.
All right, thank you, Coach, and good luck this weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Coach Boehner, as always, we appreciate your time, sir, and look forward to speaking with you again next week. For our callers that had some questions about who would host, just for clarity, the overall conference record, which means your record in your 7 conference games, whichever East Division champ and West Division champ has the best conference record will host. In the event that they are tied with identical records, the first tiebreaker will be head-to-head competition followed by tiebreaker policies that we've outlined from there moving down. But just for clarity, overall conference record, best record will host. If there's a tie, we will revert back to our tiebreaker policy for hosting. With that being said, we will now move on to our next caller of the day. The Alabama State Hornets got a big win on the road there in Houston, Texas, defeating the Texas Southern Tigers by a score of 27-21. With that, we'll be joined by head coach Ely with Alabama State. Do we have Coach Ely with us?
Yes, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Coach. As always, thank you for jumping on with us. If you could, please give us an opening comment about your team's big win there over Texas Southern.
Well, like I said, it was, definitely a win that was needed. Texas Southern got a good football team, and Coach McKinney does a great job with those guys. We got out on them early at the half, 27-7, and came back out and turned the ball over like 5 times, and it ended up being a football game. Those guys, did a good job of pulling together offensively and defense, and we had a football game at the end. So it was nail biter down, to the end where we was able to run the clock out and get out of there.
Coach Hill, Ely, Donald Ware with Box to Row. How you doing?
Good, brother. What's going on?
Not much. Again, like for you, maybe a couple of losses, but still right there in the hunt for that Eastern Division crown where Alcorn State has been dominant. So can you kind of speak to that and, still being in the race this late in the season?
Well, like I said, as Coach Maynard talked about earlier, there's a lot of parity in the league, and a lot of these games are not being blowouts. It's the team that has the ball last, and that shows you the depth of the personnel in the league, but more importantly, how much the programs have grown. So, and as Coach Maynard stated earlier, there's really no separation from 1 through 8 in the league across the board. I mean, everybody has players and been doing a good job of recruiting. They have great coaches, so been doing a good job of hiring. So, it's good to see the league evolve and be as competitive as it is.
Getting down the stretch, again, late in the season, again, still in contention, what are some of the concerns you have about your team moving forward?
It's one of those ones where, we don't control our own destiny. I mean, there's a lot of things got to happen. A couple people got to lose. A couple buses got to not make it to the game. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that has to go in it for us. Our biggest thing is just to, play and continue to get the program better as we get to the end, and then we'll see where the chips fall at that point.
All right, appreciate it, Coach.
No doubt.
Hey, Coach, it's Ty. How you doing this morning?
What's going on, brother?
I'm good. 10 sacks for your defense, Coach, but the 4 turnovers in the second half. Can you address that, and did your team sort of lose concentration? Was it more Texas Southern's play in the second half?
Well, the second half, like I said, it was a football game and not taking anything away from them. 3 of the turnovers came, our tailback, Bale, had been sick all week, so didn't go through exchanges and all that stuff, and he was well enough during the game where he was in the game, but we hadn't worked on exchanges, so a lot of it was mesh points of either him overstepping the zone or things of that nature. So a lot of it had to do because we had those 2 guys hadn't practiced it, that the timing and rhythm was off, and they put the ball on the ground 3 of the 4 times, and then that 4th time, Ezra, who's one of our hardest runners, guy came in, and it was a lot of effort on Texas Southern to strip the ball out. So it was a collaboration or a collection or both. Some of them and some of us.
Well, Coach, this week you take a break outside the conference. I want you to compare starting like your second week of the season last year with Auburn, and now you're finishing part of your season this year with Florida State. Comparatively, was there a difference when taking on these Power 5 teams at the beginning or near the end of the season?
Well, the scheduling is something, that happens over on the other side of campus. But, and a lot of this stuff was done before, we even took over the program. but it's not a break. I mean, we going into a situation of a Power 5 team right here at the end of the season, and they need one more win to get to a bowl. So it's definitely not a break. It's definitely not a break, and we have to try to find a way to get in and find some kind of weaknesses that we can take advantage of.
And certainly, Coach, I didn't mean in terms of a break from your competition, but just in terms of playing up again and playing Florida State. I remember last season you had a number of injuries in that Auburn game that affected you during the season. How will you approach this game in terms of, besides the fact that you're doing your best to win this game?
Well, the thing, you still have to, rotate a lot of guys, those guys that's in. And you still have to, one thing about football is, it's no trap door. You got to go out there and fight, because when you, with these Power 5s and you plan them, I mean, you can't take plays off. And, I mean, you got to try to find ways to manage the clock and all those kind of things. But we feel like, we've improved our conditioning and our, strength and conditioning, and we should be up for the challenge.
And finally, Coach, can you just address how your players feel about playing this game? Because they played UAB earlier this season, and some of them had the experience last year with Auburn. How much are they looking forward to taking on the Seminoles?
You get a chance, these players, they probably been looking ahead to this game for a long time. We had a lot of Florida players that, get a chance to play in front of their families in this kind of venue. But more importantly, you got a lot of the players that's on the team that, felt that they should be at Division I bowl division. So they get an opportunity to go and have that game day experience that they watch so much. So I'm quite sure they're all looking forward to it.
Coach, as always, appreciate your time, sir. We look forward to speaking with you next week. The Alcorn State Braves dropped a 19-16 decision to Grambling State in overtime, and with that, we'll be joined by head coach Fred McNair. Do we have Coach McNair with us?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Morning, Coach. Thank you for jumping on the call with us. If you could, please give us an opening comment about your team's most recent outing versus Grambling State.
Well, most definitely, proud of the effort that they gave. The whole 60 minutes, close ball game, 10-10.5, and good, hard-fought, physical ball game, I thought. Both teams played exceptionally well from the standpoint of the physicality. They just made one more kick than we made. So hats off to Coach Favre and his group of guys, coaches, and the team for the way they played and made a kick at the end to win it. So pretty much I'm just proud of the way the guys competed and the way they stood toe-to-toe with a great football team such as Grambling. So at the end of the day, they made one more kick than we made. So that tells the story.
Coach McNair, obviously a big matchup this upcoming weekend. You guys will face Alabama A&M, with a lot on the line. If you could preview that matchup for us.
I think it's going to be another big matchup, as all of them have. Every game we play is pretty big for us, and this team, this coaching staff. So Cornell mainly going to bring a good, hard, solid football team in here, and got a great quarterback in Glass and great running back in Bentley. Got two outstanding receivers with Moore and Abraham. So we've got to work cutouts for us on defense. From a defensive standpoint, the linebackers Holloway and got a big long-range defensive end in Price. So they got a lot of weapons on both sides of the ball, So we just got to prepare ourselves for another tough one. I got to tell these guys, every game we play is a championship game for us. So this is what it is this weekend. So we just had to go out and practice preparation and get ready for another good football team Cornell going to bring in here.
Coach, it's Ty Miller. Good morning to you.
What's up, Ty?
Not much, Coach. Just want to ask you to address the game that you played Alabama A&M last year, 10-10 at halftime, and you came out and your offense got going in the third quarter. What kind of adjustments did you make in that game that were led to that success?
I guess the biggest thing is talk to the team about the effort that they gave in the first half and the things they need to do to execute in the second half and just go out and have fun playing football, man. And no pressure on you, but just executing the way you've been executing during the course of the week, you know. It's all about preparation and coming out playing fast. You know, you love to have that fast start when the game first start, but, you know, sometimes it don't happen that way. You go in at halftime, you tie up 10-10, and you come back out and execute the way you're supposed to execute. It tells the difference, you know. So the biggest thing for us is to be ready to play and come out fast and have a fast start and execute the way we should, you know, from the start of the game. So we always have that intention, but it don't always work that way. So we have to make minor adjustments at halftime and come back out and do it again. So hopefully the second half of that game, you know, we came out and played the ball we're supposed to be played.
Coach, how key will your third down efficiency be in this game against Alabama A&M? Because this past weekend, it was not at the rate I'm sure you were happy about.
All of them is key. You know, I stress that more than anything. You know, I stress that more than just the total offensive yard we have. I mean, that's one of my key opponents, is third down efficiency. It wasn't that good this past weekend. It showed, you know, not finishing drives and those kind of things. And third down efficiency is a result of winning and losing, you know, moving the ball and scoring in the red zone. So we didn't do a real good job at that this weekend. So hopefully, you know, this weekend coming up, we'll be able to execute a whole lot better than we did this past weekend on third down. So it's a big down for us, you know. Can't overcome the third and long. We can't get in those situations. Just have to make sure that we third and short, third and medium is what your goal is always to be. We talk about third down efficiency. So getting those down like that, you can pretty much playbook is pretty much open for you.
And, Coach, knowing that what you said earlier is true, that every week's now like a championship game, what are your players saying about this upcoming game against Alabama A&M, and how do you get them to realize that you can't let one loss beat you 2 weeks in a row?
Well, that's the only thing we stressed this morning in the team meetings, you know, and, you know, put the game behind us, you know, put it to rest, and let's move on to the next one. I think myself and the coaching staff does a real good job of getting these guys moving on. And, you know, during the course of practice this morning, you know, we put it to rest, you know, and as we moving on to Alabama A&M, you got to get ready for them Bulldogs, man. So I think the attitude of the young men has been great. You know, they know how to bounce back from that. So it's not the first time I was having a loss this year, so we ready to bounce back from it and move on to the next one. So always the next game is a big one, so this is a big one for us. So we got to just move on and get ready for them Bulldogs, Alabama A&M.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
All right, Ty.
Coach Ken Rashad, HBCU Sports. Talk about the play of Felix Harper coming into this game. You're looking at a player who had only had 2 interceptions on the entire season coming into this game, but yet he had 2 in the game as well as and was sacked 3 times. Does his play from Saturday concern you going forward? How do you adjust that, and what changes, if any, do you make?
Nothing. Every throw that Felix made, he understood everything that he made, all the mistakes that he made. That's one thing about this kid. You know, he knows mistakes that he made. As soon as the ball leaves his hand, he knows it's a mistake, or whether it's going to be good or bad. So he comes to the sideline. I look him in the eyes and say, Coach, I know. You know, he knows, you know, the things he's supposed to do, and the reads he got to stay away from, and just pressing himself that game. I thought that that's what he did, and made some ill-advised throws and caused some turnovers. On one of the routes, the receiver slipped down on a bender, caused an interception. May have looked bad as it looked, but on one, he threw it straight into the safety. So that's not supposed to happen with him. So he knows. It's not hard to fix that. And the biggest thing about it, you know, he knows his mistakes, and he stood up for them. So that's one thing about this young man. He's a good kid. Plays hard, and he's coachable. So that's one thing about him, that he'll get it fixed this week, him and Pat White.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach McNair, thank you again for jumping on with us, and we look forward to speaking with you again next week. The Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions dropped a 37-20 decision to the Prairie View A&M Panthers in their final road outing of the season. With that, we'll be joined by head coach Cedric Thomas. Do we have Coach Thomas with us?
Yes, sir.
Morning, Coach. Thank you so much for jumping on with us. If you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Prairie View A&M.
Yeah, got to really nice atmosphere down in Prairie View, and Coach Doolin and his squad, man, they did a good job taking some things away from them, kind of moved the football early, but that defense came over with a big turnover inside the red zone to kind of stymie us out of those 7 points, and had a couple more drives early, but after that we just kind of stalled out, and they had a lot to do with Mr. Dumas up front, and that kid really controlled the line of scrimmage. We didn't do a good job of creating a new line of scrimmage on the offensive side, and they did everything that they should have done to win. And I didn't get my kids prepared well enough, and we didn't play well enough, didn't have enough enthusiasm about being out there. And you can't do that against good football teams. Offensively, it was on some big plays in the passing game with the quarterback and the big physical tight end. And once they got that thing rolling, it was kind of hard for us to contain them. And so we got to get in the lab, and I got to do a better job along with the coaching staff of getting our kids prepared. If we talk about being consistent and relevant, like some of the upper echelon programs in this league, and we didn't do that, and it all starts with me. So we'll get out today and practice and continue to get better and continue to establish a mindset of finish right now versus a good Texas Southern Ball Club. But shout out to Coach Doolin and his staff. They did a good job preparing them guys off the off week, and we wasn't ready to play. I got to do a better job of getting my guys ready to play 4 quarters of football, offense, defense, and special teams.
Coach Thomas, obviously on your schedule, bye week this week before you get ready to play your last outing against Texas Southern on November 23rd. If you could just kind of discuss, I know outside of getting healthy and getting some guys healed up, what do you hope to improve on or see from your team in this upcoming week off?
Just the retention, just the retention of a week's practice. We make some key mistakes in the course of the game, and the bad thing is the mistake, but the good thing is as soon as the kid come off the field, he can tell you pretty much why he did it, and so we still just got to go out and play. The more we do it, the better we'll be. We got we're immature and young football team in time, not immature as in a bad way, but we just got some freshmen and sophomores who hadn't done it enough where it becomes second nature to them, and some seniors out there that does it right every time. And we got some young kids that they're not consistently doing the job description as it entails. So we're gonna go out there and play. We're gonna play football. We're gonna practice football. Every day we can, and hopefully we can. When these situations come up between 2 and 5 or 6 and 9 when we're playing, we can do it the right way more so than we do it the wrong way.
Coach, quietly, DeJuan Miller, 4 straight games with touchdown reception, coming off a big year last year as Conference Freshman of the Year. Talk about his play this season and how the pairing has worked well with Harry Ballard on the other side.
Really well. He's a freshman All-American that, is not taking a back seat to an SEC kid and to come in and still play at a high level and consistently. It's really huge for the program as a true sophomore now. So we just got to find ways to get him to football. It's too many times we're in the compete zone, in the red zone area, and, we're having to kick field goals, and you shouldn't have to do that with the quality wideouts that we got on the perimeter. We had 1,000-yard back from last year, but we're seeing a lot of 8-man and thick surfaces in that core, and we just got to find ways to get them the football, inside the 20. And like I said, it all starts with me, and we just got to find some ways to score more points down in the compete zone. But really excited about this kid growth and, also him being in the program for another 2 years.
Coach Ken Rashad, HBCU Sports. Obviously, you're at the 500 mark right now with one game left to play against Texas Southern. And last year you finished a season at 2-9, and you're obviously much better compared to last year with a game left that could determine whether or not you finish the season with a winning record or losing record. Regardless of what the outcome might be next in your next game, is it safe to say that you're at least pleased with the way your program is trending compared to last year and when you took over?
That's only in regards to last year, but not at all. I think it's 2 or 3 games are still out there that we had opportunities to win that was in our control, and it had nothing to do with the other team. But going forward, we just got to continue to learn from all these games, and right now, like you said, we're 500, which entails means average football team, and I don't think we got average individuals. We're just playing average football as a team, and it all starts with me. I'm being an average coach along with my staff. But this is our Super Bowl. To go from 2-9 to 6-5 and have a winning season is everything. We get to right that wrong in 2 weeks, and that's everything that's invested in this program. And I don't think we had a winning season since 2012. So we're gonna go out starting tonight, and we're gonna make sure that everything we do going forward equals us having a winning season. It's a tough league. You look at the parity through it from top to bottom, and one play here or there. And it takes Southern team is a really good football team, and we're in no position to look at the record because the record doesn't indicate how good that program is. So better than last year, but I still think we've underachieved in a lot of areas.
Coach Thomas, as always, we appreciate your time on the call. We look forward to speaking with you again next week. We now go to Grambling State, where the Tigers had a big win there over Alcorn State this past weekend, winning in overtime by a score of 19-16. And with that, we'll be joined by head coach Broderick Fobbs. We have Coach Fobbs with us.
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, good morning, Coach Fobbs. Thank you for jumping on with us. If you could please open us up with a comment about your team's big win there over Alcorn State in overtime.
Well, it was a good day for football. I mean, good environment. I thought, you could definitely tell, both teams was very prepared for the game. My hats off, to Coach McNair. His team is a classy group of guys, man. They play extremely hard. They play the game the right way. They focus on playing with their pads and not their mouth, and just a very, very physical ball game. I didn't think that. I thought defensively we played really well, but just in my opinion, I thought both offenses didn't play as well as we were capable of playing. Whether it was the defense that had something to do with it, or errant throws, overthrowing a guy, or things of that nature. There was a little bit of that on both sides. So very evenly matched. Ball club, both teams, and at the end of the day, it just boiled down to, them not being able to capitalize on a couple of mistakes we made, with the penalty after the touchdown, and us being able to make a big field goal. That's really what it boiled down to. Sometimes it's one or two plays that has something to do with it, and I think we have to play better. And we have to be in a better headspace, dealing with success, but then also, handling adversity the right way.
Coach Fobbs, Ken Rashad, HBCU Sports. How are you, sir?
Right. Hey, Ken.
Good. Hey, Coach, talk about your kicker, Mendez. Talk about his mindset after missing that PAT that would have put your team ahead by 1. Was anything said to him when he went out to make that overtime field goal?
No, nothing was said to him, for that. There was a lot said to him, after the miss. But anything said to him, to go out, for that particular kick, most of it was after the miss, hey, we need you, we need you to focus because, this game is an overtime game now, and it's going to boil down to, maybe an extra point or a field goal. So that's basically what happened, and And, he did a really good job of hitting a 40-plus yard field goal.
And Coach, when you play games like this, a game in a rival like Alcorn State, and while I understand all games matter, is there something to be said about who the opponent is, or in this case, Alcorn, knowing what the history is behind both of these schools? Is there something just a little different about these matchups when you go in to play against them?
No, we don't prepare any different. At the end of the day, we're trying to always play our best. And, there are times where teams like, Alcorn State can kind of push your kids into a state of focus where they have the extreme focus to try to play their best game. That's what makes those kind of games fun. But on the flip side of it, playing other games where there's another challenge on the other end. Now the challenge is, within yourself to motivate yourself to still play with the same mindset. So I don't think it's different. I just think, there are certain times that it's a little bit easier, and it takes extreme focus in order to play that way all the time. And that's the goal, I think. If you ask any coach that, it's for the kids to play with the same passion and heart and guts and focus every week. And that's the challenge as a head football coach.
Coach, you had a situation where Jeremy Higbottom was ejected from the game, and it put you in a position to where you had to put Charles Wright in. First, can you provide some insight as to what specifically Higbottom did to be ejected, and then talk about what the mindset was in terms of putting the Charles Wright in at that moment?
Well, it was a situation where, he threw interception, and, D linemen, always want to get after the quarterback, and that's a free opportunity to really be aggressive, with a quarterback, because he turns into a defender at that particular point. And, one kid, he got the kid off of him, and then another D lineman, did the same thing. And I think he, tried to push the kid off of him, and, the white hat looked at it as a punch. I didn't think it was anything, too much about it, but, we are appealing the decision, and we're waiting to hear the ruling on it.
But briefly, talk about the play of Charles Wright and how well he did filling in at that moment.
Well, Charles is a very athletic kid that can really, really throw the football. He's a little different from Jeremy, but he has a very, very strong arm. He's very, very intelligent, very smart, and then also he can run the football as well. But he came in and did a really good job of protecting the football for us. Made some throws, made a big throw, to tie the game at the end of the game, and did some good things well. A couple other things that we have to continue to work on. But at the end of the day, he did enough to help us, win a football game, and we were happy for him. Being that this is, that was senior night for him. And he got an opportunity to get in there and help his team get a victory.
Coach Fobbs, you obviously have 2 games left on your regular season schedule, none bigger than this upcoming weekend when you travel to Edabina to face Mississippi Valley State. Could you preview that matchup for us?
Well, they're a very good football team. They've been in a lot of the football games that they've played this season. When you look at them, very dynamic quarterback, spread offense with a little bit of mixture of option in it. He's a very dynamic football player, very impressed, with the quarterback and the skill kids that they have. Defensively, they play extremely hard. They do a really good job of disguising coverages and rolling and bringing pressure off the edges and bringing pressure up the middle as well. Just like everybody else, a really good football team. It's a tough environment. They make the most to take advantage of the environment. It's big for them. I think this game says a lot about, the character of our players, the guts and hearts and both of our players. And in my opinion, this is the biggest game of the year, because it's a situation where it has to come from within, and it's going to show, the maturity of our ball club and their mentality when it comes to their approach to preparing this week, but then also playing this weekend. They've had, 2 weeks to prepare for us, so I'm pretty sure there'll be some wrinkles that we haven't seen. But at the end of the day, it's a football game, and you have to be excited to play a football game because not too many people get those opportunities to play our coach in those type of situations.
Coach Fobbs, as always, we appreciate your time on the call, and we look forward to speaking with you again next week. This past Saturday, the Jackson State Tigers dropped a 48-43 decision to Alabama A&M. And with that, we'll catch up with Coach Hendrick with Jackson State. We have Coach Hendrick with us.
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, good morning, Coach. As always, thank you for jumping on with us. If you could please give us an opening comment about your team's most recent outing versus Alabama A&M.
Well, it was one of those games where there was high scoring, where both teams were moving the ball against one another, and my hats off to them. They made plays down the stretch they needed to make to win the game, and we didn't get the plays to stop them, and we needed one more stop down the stretch to get it done, and we can get it done, and they got it done in the game, and I give all the credit to them because they really played a good football game against us.
Hey, Coach, this is Jim Klein, Peter, from the Baton Rouge Advocate. Just wanted to get you to talk a little bit about your first season as coach there and some retrospect on it and, the direction you're headed and how it's gone for you and some of your impressions.
Well, we've had been a little bit up and down. We started the season, lost a couple games I felt that we should have won, and went on a little streak there and then lose this game. I think our trajectory is right. I think our kids are learning the lessons that they need to learn on how to win. I think we've learned some of those lessons. We still have some things we need to learn, but I think we're coming together. We're discovering who we are and the things that we can do, and then we're positioning ourselves, I think, to be a little bit better as we go forward.
What about for yourself personally? You've had a long career, and now you're the head coach of Jackson State. What has it been like for you personally as far as fulfillment and other things?
Well, I'm enjoying it. I've got a group of great young men who I coach. I've got a group of great men who are around me as coaches or on my staff. I've got a really good athletic administration that try to do everything within their power to give me what I need to be successful. And so I'm really tickled pink to be a part of what I think is the best HBCU job in America. And to have an opportunity to be a head coach here, I'm really, really excited about it. And I'm looking forward as we go forward and hopefully building this thing into what our constituency desires.
Am I right? This is your first head coaching job, college head coaching job?
No, I was the head coach at Benedict College in Columbia, South Carolina for 4 years.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I missed that. Okay, so and looking forward, I mean, do you have? Can you see the light at the end of the tunnel for y'all? Can you see better days ahead?
Oh, there's no doubt about it in my mind. I think we got a young football team. We lose 3 starters on offense. We lose 3 starters on defense. We've got our quarterback situation, I believe, is solidified. All our skilled players are coming back on offense except for 2, our running back, Jordan Johnson, and Rameek Wallace, our receiver. We lose offensive lineman, our center, and Melvin Hollins. Everybody else on this football team is coming back. We got a group of young kids that people haven't even seen yet that I believe are going to be really good football players in the future. And we're going to steadily recruit. So I really do. I think we have an opportunity going forward to be a good football team. Like I said, we still have some lessons we need to learn, and we still have some coming together that we need to do. But I foresee a bright future for us.
Okay, let me ask you about this year's team. What is the status of Khalil Johnson?
He's day to day. He's day to day. We played a little bit last week, not much, but he's a day to day guy still on the injury report.
Okay. Okay, and what with Southern coming in, what's the challenge against Southern? What do you see as the challenge with them? Y'all are still in the race for the East title, I guess.
Yes, we need some help, but we're still in it. Southern is a big challenge. Coach Odom does a great job. He has a really disciplined football team who to me is really, really sound and really, really good on defense. I really love the way they coach defense over there. I think they do a good job with that. He has a quarterback that can run around and give you nightmares. He has a big running back. He has a big offensive line. He has some receivers with size, and then the guys do with speed. They're a big challenge for us. And we'll be prepared. There'll be a handful to handle.
You're playing the other team from Baton Rouge. What do you have any reminiscences of your time at LSU that things you learned there maybe that have helped you in this season at Jackson State?
There's no doubt about it. I enjoyed my time there working for Mike Archer, and Mike helped me a lot. Even now, when I think about, Mike went through a tough time there when we were there. But the one thing I loved about Mike never lost his sense of humor, and he never ever attacked people. He always attacked problems. And that's what I really liked about working under him. He was a really good head coach. The people at Baton Rouge didn't understand that. They got rid of us too early because they kept us. We had a bunch of guys. You remember that 15 of the guys that we recruited played in the NFL, and they were all young kids when we left there. So, we just thought that if we could hold on another year, that we'd have been a bowl game team the next year, and the following year we'd have been a great football team. But they saw fit to get rid of us. They got rid of us too early. That's what I'm saying. I thought we had an opportunity to be really good there.
Hey, Coach, can you talk about, this is Luke Williams from the Black College Sports Page. Can you talk about the quarterback position being stabilized? How much has Jalen Jones contributed to that? Talk about his performance in the game Saturday.
Well, just look at it. I mean, all you got to do is look at the stat line. He was 13 and 19 for 220 yards. He rushed for 100-some-odd yards. He was over 350 yards worth of offense. It was sort of kind of his coming out party. People looked at Jalen and they thought I was absolutely crazy because of we didn't play him. We played Jalen when it was time for him to play, when he was ready. And as you can see from his performance, he was ready to play last week. And I'm happy that he's gotten to the point that he's matured enough. I mean, he still has a ways to go with some things, but he's really grown as a quarterback, and he's grown into his leadership role. So I'm looking forward to watching him as he progresses down the line.
Well, how much of that stabilizing a quarterback is based on his play?
Very much so. Ponder is still in the mix because you never know what's going to happen. But Jalen showed that he's a guy that can take us to where we need to go, I believe, and so we're going to lean on him.
Coach Hendrick, obviously big matchup this upcoming weekend with Southern coming into town. What have you noticed from them with what you've seen on film up to this point?
They're hard. They got a good football coach and a good coaching staff. They got good players. Coach Odom's done a wonderful job over there with his football team, and they play the football game the way it's supposed to be played. They're going to play hard. They've got good athletes on the perimeter. They've got a good athlete in the backfield. They got two quarterbacks. They got one that throws a little bit better than the other, and they got one that really that creates nightmares for you running the football. And they got a solid defense, and they're solid on special teams. So, we're going to have to play really well to beat them this week. We're going to prepare and get our team ready and prepared to play them, and we're going to tee it up and kick it off.
Coach, last question for me. That atmosphere for Jackson State and Southern, throughout the records, no matter where it's played, it's typically one of the more festive atmospheres in the conference. Can you just talk a little bit about what you expect to see out of the game from an atmosphere perspective?
as the kids say, it's going to be off the chain. It's, our people travel, their people travel, their people want to outdo our people want to outdo their people. So I'm expecting to be raucous. I'm expecting to be high level. And I'm excited because the atmosphere is going to be college football 101. And I'm really looking forward to it. I know our people are going to show up, and their people can't get a room in Jackson. So let's go. I mean, it's going to be really that kind of evening, or that kind of afternoon, rather.
Coach, as always, thank you so much for your time, sir. Look forward to speaking with you next week. Mississippi Valley State had a bye this past week, and with that, we'll now be joined by Coach Dancy with Mississippi Valley State. Do we have Coach Dancy on the line?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Hey, good morning, Coach. As always, thank you so much for taking some time to jump on the call with us. Coach, if you could please just kind of recap your bye week this past week with your program.
Just a time that last week just got out and got a head start on Grambling, and had a few good practices, a few great days of practice, and was able to get his weekend, let the guys go home, visit their parents, and catch up on some football and get right back to work on yesterday like we did.
Coach, obviously another big weekend for you guys. You'll host Grambling State, a team that, as we saw last week, started off slow, has picked up momentum here late, reeling off several victories in a row. From your perspective and your vantage point with your program, what do you look to see this weekend against the Tigers, and how will you use a game like this against a program that traditionally has been so dominant over the years? How will you use that type of game to be able to measure where you're at as a program?
Big time opponent. When you look at it, Coach Fobbs has done a magnificent job with that program since taking over. Great coaches on his staff. And our team understands that. We understand what type of caliber team we're going against, championship-style team. And I think we've been prepared for this team. Like I said last week, we did a great job of going out and working on ourselves and, getting prepared to face a great team. But motivation factor, it's just playing Grambling and our team, and we know that. We know it's going to be a big game, and I think as long as we continue to prepare well, like we've been doing, and it's going to be a good matchup. But hats off to those guys, man, and they've been doing a wonderful job over these past 5 weeks. 5-game winning streak. So we know they're hot right now, and they're going to come in, with a chip on their shoulder, and we just got to be able to withstand some of their blows and take this thing into the fourth quarter.
Coach, when you look at Grambling State offensively, obviously what they're able to do behind center with the athleticism of Hickbottom poses a risk just because what he can do, not only throwing but also running the ball. What do you think you're going to need to do from a defensive perspective to be able to limit not only him but them offensively as a unit?
I think it starts up front with those guys, man. I think they do a great job up front on the offensive line, and they're big, they're physical up front. So I think we got to pressure those. We got to start out by trying to push the pocket, man. I think we got to get Hickbottom off that spot and try to make him move around a little bit. Don't want to get him settled in, and he's a great runner as well. So we just got to try to, keep him contained in the run game and try to create some pressures for him in the passing game. But not only him, but Charles Wright, man, he came in and did a magnificent job against Alcorn. And we understand what he can do as a runner, but as well as a thrower. So we got 2 quarterbacks that we're going to have to contain this weekend and play tough against.
So, Jansen, one of the aspects of the game that I'm really looking forward to seeing how it plays out is the matchups up front. You guys have a stellar defensive front with some standouts on that line. Obviously, they've had a very good offensive unit from a line perspective. How do you see that matchup playing out, and how important will it be for you guys to win the battle in the trenches? I
think, like I said, I think if we could, recreate a line of scrimmage in the run game, and like I said, press the pocket in the passing game, it gives us a good chance of containing them offensively, because some of the things you do, you just can't stop them offensively. You just got to try to contain them. But I think our front will be, excited for the matchup. Like I've been telling them the past 2 weeks, I think for the last, 5 weeks, this has been one of the best offensive lines in our conference. The way those guys combo and work up, and just the power, the strength that they have, man, it's going to be a good challenge for us up front. And I'm excited to see what our guys can do against those guys.
Coach, last question for me. Obviously, you guys have Grambling State this week, who is in the hunt. Theoretically, they control their own destiny if they win out. Alabama A&M following, same thing with them. Not that you're looking ahead or looking past your opponent, but does your team gain any type of edge from these type of matchups, playing teams that are still in contention and having the opportunity to, kind of play spoiler, so to speak?
The edge, I don't think so. I think every week is a challenge, is a very difficult challenge for us. But I think we just go out and prepare like we've been doing against every opponent. At the end of the day, I think we do for one of these big time games, if that's what you're asking. And so we just got to go out and prepare and work hard and put ourselves in position to win, and don't do nothing to limit ourselves or hurt ourselves. And if we can do that, I think we put ourselves in a good chance and put ourselves in a good situation to be victorious in one of these games, these big games.
Coach, as always, thank you so much for your time, sir, and we look forward to speaking with you next week. Past week, the Prairie View A&M Panthers had a big win there at home, defeating Arkansas Pine Bluff by a score of 37-20. And with that, we'll now be joined by head coach Dooley. Do we have Coach Dooley with us?
Yes, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Coach. Thank you so much for jumping on the call with us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening comment about your team's win at home over Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Yeah, we came in. We know we had some challenges with our Pine Bluff. They've been playing well all year long in all three phases of the game, so we knew we had our work cut out. Fortunate enough, we had the opportunity to have an open date before that, so we was able to, get things going in the right direction for us. Some of the things we wanted to accomplish in all three phases of our game, but it was going to be a hard-fought battle. Those guys came out and played hard, and our kids was able to this week here to battle to the end of the game and come up with a victory, which was I thought was much needed. So they played well, and still some mistakes, things that we're trying to correct to get better on. And I thought it was a hard-fought battle between two good football teams, and fortunate enough we were able to come out on top.
So, Julie, obviously another big outing for Tucker there. Might not necessarily see it in total yardage output, although he did break 100, but what he was able to do just finding his way into the end zone. Can you just talk a little bit about his performance this game and this entire season?
Yeah, I mean, he's been a workhorse for us. He had some things he had to battle throughout the week with a family member. When you're talking about a family member having a death, it kind of takes a toll on you. So he's very, down about that. But the young man came out and just laid it on the line, understood the magnitude of the game that we were playing in. But very fortunate to have a guy like him. And, this is second year breaking the 1,000-yard mark. So it's been a good season for him, but not quite like what we expected and wanted for him to go out. But, I mean, the young man is going to continue to fight to the end.
Hey, Coach Dooley, just keeping it over on the offensive side, Jordan Jones, 6 reception, 119 yards, also had a touchdown. What did you see from him receiving the ball for you?
Well, we know he's a tight end for us, an H-back type guy. We know he's a big player for us. So he was playing well that Saturday, so it was no question that we wanted to continue to feed him the football because some of the things he was able to accomplish and some of the matchups we thought we were getting with him. But he came out and played like he always plays. He's going to play hard. He's going to play for 60 minutes and just lay it on the line. So, was pleased with the performance that he had. I won't say a breakout game, but had one of his better games of the year.
Coach Dooley, I know we heard from you last week on the call just as far as you guys still having a lot to play for. A winning season is still within your grasp. You guys will face Edward Waters and Alabama State to close out the year. Can you preview your matchup with us against Edward Waters as far as what you've seen on film from them up to this point?
Yeah, a different opponent, but I know the coach very well, so I know that his team's going to come down and be prepared and be well coached. Different style offense that they run, pretty much. They run in a two-set back offense, so it's a little different what we've been facing all year long. But those young men, not having the best season as well, but they're going to play hard. They play fast, they play hard, and they try to play for 60 minutes. So we know. Any game you play, I think it's a challenge because that's why you play the game. So our guys are going to go out. We're going to prepare, and we know what we're trying to accomplish. So we're just going to continue to fight and just play the season out.
Coach Dooley, as always, we appreciate your time on the call, sir, and we look forward to speaking with you next week. This past week, the Southern Jaguars had a dominating performance at home, defeating Virginia Lynchburg there in Baton Rouge by a score of 58-7. With that, we'll be joined by head coach Dawson Odoms. Do we have Coach Odoms on the line?
It's Coach Odoms.
Hey, good morning, Coach. As always, thank you so much for joining us. If you could please start us out with an opening comment about your team's win this past weekend over Virginia Lynchburg.
Well, the biggest thing is just playing up to your expectations, and I thought that's the challenge, was getting our guys to play up to the level that we have set. And I thought the guys did that. And the biggest thing was just challenging our guys to execute at a high level. And I thought they did that. I thought they showed up from start to finish and played the way they needed to play in order for us to get a win. And I was proud of that because I really thought we haven't done that. We've been playing up and down. And the good thing is we showed up and played start to finish, and I think we're getting better at the right time.
Hey, Coach, it's Jim Klein, Peter. First off, I wanted to ask you, do you think you're going to get Chris Chaney back this week?
Yes, I think he'll be back. I think Chaney will be healthy to go, and I talked with him yesterday. He was feeling pretty good and should get Mackey back this week. So we should have some guys at practice. And hopefully they're healthy enough to be ready to go on Saturday.
Okay, what do you see when you look at Jackson State on film? What's the challenge in facing them?
Well, the biggest thing is they got several players on offense and defense. Coach Hendricks is doing an outstanding job. I've known Coach Hendricks for a long time, and we talk outside of football. And the biggest thing is that I know he's going to have a football team that's prepared to play. And he's doing it the right way. And when you look at them defensively, it starts with Hampton, Johnson, and Holmes. I think those three guys are very good football players for them. They're all over the field. They make plays, and they're the reason why they're playing, such great defense here going down the stretch. And then offensively, it looks like they settled in at a quarterback. Jones has been really good. I just watched the film on him against Alabama A&M. He looked like he's really settled down and playing the position like I know they thought he was capable of once they got him. But he's electric. He's one of the better football players in our conference. Bowie is another guy that's really, really good. And then you got two running backs that I think run the ball as hard as anybody we played against, and that's Harper and Johnson. So they have a lot of talent, and their football team is very good. They're very well coached. We know it'll be a good environment, it'll be a good game, always a good game, and we always look forward to playing against those guys. And we're going to need to be ready to play our best, and that's what we're trying to do this week, get our football team locked in to continue to play well in the month of November.
And, Coach, you at the beginning of the season, you stressed how much you wanted to improve your run defense, and it's quite good now. You're first in the league. How big a part of that run defense is DeCavian Champion? I mean, he seems to create a lot of havoc out there.
I think he's one of the reasons we've improved, and also our depth on the D-line. But Calvin Lumpkins is another reason I think we've been playing really stout against the run. And, we know when you stop the run, people are going to throw the football. We've had some issues there with our pass defense, but I really think we got the personnel right. Guys have gained a little bit of confidence from this last game, and I think we're going to be playing better in the month of November. I think that's how you want to be playing. Once you get to November, you want to be playing, creeping up on your best football. And I think we're starting to do that. You're starting to show signs of a football team that really understand what this month is about. And being in contention, 6 out of the 7 years we've been here, our players sort of got an idea of the expectations that we have for them in the month of November and playing great run defense. We hope to continue that on Saturday.
Can you talk a little bit more specifically about the Decavian champion and where he's come from and the level he's playing at right now?
He's a senior, so I think start getting close to in your career, your snaps are being limited. You're running out of snaps, so you gotta leave it all on the field because it's not guaranteed you go play another down of football. So you might want to maximize the opportunities you have at Southern University, and this senior class is taking it upon themselves to say, it's a certain way we want to go out, it's a certain way we want to be remembered, and we guarantee 60 minutes. Now, what we do with them is solely up to us, and that's sort of our motto, that we know that come Saturday, we go get 60 minutes. We need to be ready to play, and if the Decavian champion play like he's capable of playing, then that run defense will be stout, and our defense will be stout. I mean, he's one of those seniors that's a great leader for us. Young man I was happy with senior day this past week. His mother was here, saw a smile on her face. He's going to get a degree. And I think that's why young men come to Southern University, so they can play in big games like we're going to play in Saturday, and they have an opportunity to get their degree.
Has Decavian upped his game from last year?
I'm more of a consistent and dominant player. He's always had the talent, but you can see he's playing at another level now that he's a senior, and that's the growth. And I think that's why you recruit high school players, is that they're able to grow like that. You're able to see some growth in those guys. It takes time, and it takes time to build a program and to be able to grow a freshman into a senior. And we've been blessed enough to be at Southern University to have time to do that. And when you have that time, you be able to see the blossom of a Decavian champion. So I'm proud of him. He's put the work in, and I'm glad he's having a successful senior season.
Coach Odoms, as always, we really appreciate your time on the call, sir, and we look forward to speaking with you next week. We now go to our last caller of the day. That'll be Coach Clarence McKinney with the Texas Southern Tigers. This past weekend, the Tigers dropped a 27-21 decision to the Alabama State Hornets there at home, and with that, we'll now be joined by Coach McKinney. Do we have Coach McKinney with us?
Coach McKinney's on the line.
Hey, good morning, Coach. As always, thank you so much for jumping on the call with us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Alabama State.
Yeah, another tough loss for the Tigers versus a really good Alabama State team. Felt like our team started extremely slow, got down a little bit, but battled back. Defensively, we created 4 turnovers. Offensively, we didn't turn the ball over. But when you get opportunities to score in the red zone, you got to take advantage of those, and we didn't do that. But we feel like the program's going in the right direction. Guys are continuing to fight to the very end. Looking forward to next week.
Coach McKinney, you guys will actually have a bye this upcoming week before you face Arkansas Pine Bluff in your last outing of the season. Outside of the standard getting some guys healthy and some treatment and getting some rest, what are you hoping to see out of your program in this bye week that you have coming up?
Really to just figure out our issues, the problems we're starting fast, and we feel like we stopped turning the ball over and started creating some turnovers. As you know, the previous 2 games we had 10-plus turnovers, and we feel like we rectified that issue. But this week we're going to focus on starting fast and as well as taking care of the ball and creating turnovers.
Coach, your last matchup, Arkansas Pine Bluff, I know you guys are already going to be starting preparation for them with the bye. Can you talk a little bit about what maybe you've seen on them so far on film?
I see a really, really good football team. I think offensively they're one of the most explosive teams in our league. Some tremendous athletes at wide receiver and a couple of really good quarterbacks. It's going to be an uphill battle for us, and we're glad to have this week extra practice for those guys. So
hopefully we can put a plan together that'll help us get a win.
Coach McKinney, as always, we appreciate your time on the call, sir, and we look forward to speaking with you next week. This concludes our call for Monday, November 11th, and with that, we thank you all for jumping on the call with us. Latest updates for the Southwestern Athletic Conference football, please visit us at the official conference website located at www.swac.org. As always, thank you so much for jumping on the call. Look forward to speaking with everyone again next week.
The voice of student athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network.